When people set up objectives, unfortunately, they're not doing the right thing. I mean, well, out of a certain research on my system, and well, I've had my own fair share of self destructive behaviors and pulling myself down and such, especially thanks to my uh, very wonderful upbringing and such. So when it comes to setting objectives, you can see a lot of people set up objectives, but unfortunately they end up kind of doing the same. Some people say, well, I want to quit masturbating, and you see them, they do pretty well for some time and then they relapse. You see people saying, oh, this is the last time I drink, and well, they might get on well with the new lifestyle, but they relapse sooner or later. And you will see people saying that they want to quit smoking because it's too expensive, it's unhealthy, whatever else. But the problem is, well, they will relapse sooner or later. See, the biggest problem nowadays that I see within most people is they call themselves unworthy and unworthy of living because of lack of touch from parents, lack of cuddles, lack of attention, and all sorts of things. A lot of children end up feeling abandonment issues, and those hit really hard, I can tell you out of experience. And when those happen, you feel like you're not worthy of anything. God themselves may show up before you, they might give you everything, you're not gonna even care. Because why be given anything in life if you feel simply unworthy of anything, right? So, unfortunately, this is the root issue of a lot of things. And well, obviously, all other forms of, parental abuse and societal abuse as well. Because you're going to relate yourself to other children, later on, other adolescents, but unfortunately, those are going to be the result of the same disastrous degeneration of parents. Because, well, given how easily things have stepped out of control in the world, we cannot easily call the older generations as a generation. Yes, obviously, not all of the parents and grandparents in the society have been that much of a degenerate, but, well, we can say that a big chunk have been. These present times are just, hints for us to wake up to the reality and that, Kansas has gone bye bye. We're no longer in there. We're now in a psychological hell because people have never been capable of understanding their emotions and their minds. All the problems in one's life stem from that. The problem with goal setting is when it is coupled with somewhat of a low esteem, people simply don't set themselves up for a goal. They set themselves up instead for how to fail on that goal or how to sabotage it, right? You've taken up some new yoga practice, you've taken up sports or going to the pool to, swim or start something new, but sooner or later, you will see that your comfort zone will call you back in to the idea of relapse, and you're going to give that up pretty soon. Because the problem is, when you set your objective, you're only setting yourself up on how to sabotage that. You're saying that, well, I'm not going to smoke for 10 days. Typically, that's a good plan, let's say. But unfortunately, psychologically, from the standpoint of someone who doesn't appreciate themselves much because they've never been given appreciation in return, they're only telling themselves, well, I don't want to smoke for 10 days, but I'm not trusting enough that I will succeed, so I will try my best. And well, unfortunately, the problem is when you're not appreciating life, because you are a piece of life in the end, you're going to leave this body. One has to understand you are a piece of life. If you don't appreciate life, everything will be unstable for you. There will always be only small steps because there will be a huge question that will crumble you. What will happen to me next? What will be this? What will be that? All sorts of stupid imagination things. They don't have any worth because, yes, they can have a role in analysis or trying to understand some possible outcomes, but the future hasn't happened yet. How many times did you actually, fuss about something or were even worried about something and you imagined all sorts of post-apocalyptic horror worlds, but they kind of never ended up how you imagined those, right? How many of those times? I'm sure there's a lot of those. And when you live life without respecting it, without having some sensitivity towards it, without appreciating it as a journey, unfortunately, you'll only be represented by small steps. And instability, fears, feeling small, even more unappreciated. And well, these kind of make you a bit retrograde, and they will force you to dig in a kind of a shell. When you end up in that state of living inside the shell because you want the comfort zone, it will be extremely hard for you to do something, and you're going to become nothing else than an anti-life. When you live life in the same comfort zone, that's living in a prison. That's being like a dead person, because only the dead live life in the same way, right? Only a dead body lives life in the same way, right? Because there's nothing else for it to happen than to putrefy and, become just the bones that, they take much longer to simply disintegrate. So this is the big problem. A lot of people only set themselves up on how to sabotage that idea because they're not feeling worthy enough. That's a huge problem in society because it is a big stem of all the evils that are happening in the world. When people feel abandoned for so long, they will give up on life. They will become nothing else but ignorant deviants of a society. And well, look at what some of them have become, right? Some of them think they're gods because their religion says that. Some of them think they're gods just because they're unhappy. All of them end up genocidal sooner or later. That is the biggest problem of misery. Someone else is happy, they must be killed because it's causing you pain, right? Miserable people will always be impulsive. What's the first impulse when you don't like something? To kill it. But you say, well, societal repercussions and the such. So you say just hurt it. Well, society, repercussions, and maybe you're not that much of a psychopath. So you will say, well, let's try to ban it or deny it. The problem is when you deny something, you make it much worse. That's also the big problem because when you deny yourself something which is almost, if not even an obsession, you'll become more perverted with that. You'll become more obsessive about that. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care. Enjoy life. And this being said, Ferenc Bohr signing out.